Hello, and welcome back to the Action Pack Podcast, where we unpack the Action Pack movies from the past. I'm your host, Bobby Seaboat. Joining me today, I have Dredd. How are you doing, Dredd?
Good, man. Thanks.
Good. And Speedman. How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's up? I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good. I'm hot. It's very hot here.
Yeah, it's not a hot wave here this time. Heat wave, hot wave, same shit. And my fan is working, so I probably won't be beat red for this entire episode and sweating. So I don't need my cool camo bandana.
Yeah. Well, if we do a Rambo movie, you're going to have it out, regardless.
Yeah, probably. I'll buy a new one.
Anyway, thanks for joining us again. Today, we're going to do the seminal, 90s movie? This was 97, right? 90s movie, Mr. Nice Guy, where Jackie Chan plays a chef for about 2 minutes of the show. For some reason, decided to become a professional chef to become a chef in the show for about 4 minutes of total time. Whatever, I don't know. We're going to do what we did before. Dredd, how about you give us a nice drop into the movie here? Give us, what are we looking at?
All right, so the basic premise of Mr. Nice Guy is a reporter films a drug deal gone wrong and accidentally exchanges the videotape for a tape of one of these amazing Jackie's cooking shows. Jackie is now the target of an endless pursuit to retrieve and destroy the evidence, just trying to do the right thing. As always, Jackie is forced to serve these thugs up a big serving of jacket twisting, chair flinging action.
Wow, that was better than the plot of the actual movie.
Yeah, that was.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was like a reporter accidentally. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into some of those things that I thought were really weird. Like, who was the guy, the cop guy that was his friend? Who was that guy? Was he the guy that had dinner with him at the beginning and his son took the movie? Who was that guy?
Okay, so I'm like not super proficient in Jackie Chan films, but I've watched them my whole life. And for some reason, he always has a white uncle, potentially a black aunt, and a cousin of some sort. It's always very diverse, but that cop was his cousin. They don't really explain it at all.
No, they don't at all.
They just always call Uncle Jackie.
It was his chef buddy, his uncle's kid. So like they went into a little bit of who the chef is, but it was so uninteresting that I can't even remember what it was.
It was Jackie's dad's friend, and he promised to take care of Jackie or whatever, right? Yeah.
Some old war implications, probably.
That was completely over my head. I didn't even hear that. I just am so used to seeing
it was during the dinner, I think.
The random
it was like
uncle.
20 seconds of backstory.
Just so you're like, wait, who is Fabio? I'm pretty sure that's his name.
Really?
Yeah.
Romeo was the cop.
No, Romeo's a cop. I'm pretty sure his
okay.
dad was named like Fabio or something. I remember them. They introduced him during the cooking show. Lakeisha introduced him. I'm pretty sure he said Fabio.
And then when those guys walked up and punched him, he had immediate black eyes, like immediately. I was just like, whoa, that guy had like black paint on his hand or something.
Can anyone place his accent? I was trying to figure out where Fabio was from, if that's his real name.
Is he supposed to? Well, because the movie's in Melbourne, right? So I figured all of them were Australian.
He's supposed to be. He's definitely supposed to be Italian. They put like a chain on him.
That's
and they were making
Italian. I was like,
they were making.
I'm pretty sure. So just to like jump in here, I'm pretty sure it's Baggio. Not is that what you said? Baggio, like Baggio, Baggio.
No, he said Fabio.
Baggio.
No, okay. And then I also did forget. Sorry, everybody. We do have Unky Punky with us. Uncle Pumpkin is running the boards for us now. He is here now, so I didn't let him introduce himself because I kind of forgot he's over there in the corner.
That's all right.
Hey-o.
Thanks, Pumpkin.
Hey,
no problem. Hey, Punky.
It's funny that you said about the instant black eye for Baggio or Baggio, Bilbo Baggio. When Giancarlo takes a fucking relentless beating from Jackie towards the end, he doesn't have anything on his face, and like Baggio is just immediately destroyed. He was bleeding.
I thought he had a black eye.
Yeah, he had a bit of a shiner.
A little bit, not as much as 2 strokes from fucking.
But he's an elite
one bad
martial
henchman.
artist. He's an elite bad guy, and Baggio is just some washed up soldier turned chef.
That's true.
I'm completely making up that he's a soldier. Just makes it more
I
interesting.
mean, it kind of.
I like that.
I mean, I think they tried to implicate that, but that might be giving the movie too much credit. So, also, what was up with the throwing the egg scene? Everyone caught it perfectly except for his girlfriend Mickey. I was like, why? What was even the point of her missing it? I didn't.
Comedic relief.
Yeah.
A lot of like Schadenfreude type things happen to her. Well, not a lot, a couple.
Yeah.
And maybe to make her more endearing or something.
Yeah, so you feel for
moron,
her.
fucked up.
Oh, Mickey. I was wondering how many takes do you think it took for Jackie to throw that from the bottom and get it in the guy's mouth on the balcony?
Yeah.
Like that was a long shot. And they filmed it.
Is past a stunt double because I wasn't sure if he was actually doing it. And then I found out later on that he did train as a chef. So that doesn't give you egg chunk throwing skills at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I'm sure you're
many takes probably.
I'm sure you're pretty proficient at egg slinging.
Yeah, but with a slotted spoon, not one of those flipper things.
You just throw raw egg through a slotted spoon.
Separate the whites from the yolks.
Yeah,
it's separating them. It's
Hilarious.
good technique.
Okay, so we got a little bit out of the way. Speedman, what were your general thoughts of the movie?
I mean, in the last podcast, I said as soon as we get into Jackie Chan stuff, nostalgia is going to taint my view of these movies, and I won't be able to give a completely unbiased opinion. But this was still pretty bad. The fight scenes were incredible. Obviously, the choreography was great. The stunts were great, but I forgot how little plot there is in all these movies. Like, just the barest amount. Dredd said in the beginning that it's just enough of a plot to carry you from fight to fight.
Yeah.
And like, I love the movie, but it's not a good movie. It's a good fight movie. And yeah, that's basically my thoughts on the movie itself. We'll get deeper into a bunch of stuff, but as far as general thoughts, it's cool. That's it.
I think that we're probably going to spend most of this time talking about the cool stunts that we liked. I'm pretty sure that's going to be most of the show. What about you, Dredd?
I am pretty similar. I'm biased because I grew up watching Jackie Chan. I mean, he was my idol as a kid. I used to run around swinging off street posts, climbing trees and shit because of seeing Jackie Chan and his parkour. Incredible. The stunts are amazing. Plot, you know, you're not watching a Jackie Chan movie for the plot. That's just, it's bare bones. It's exactly what Speedman said. It's just enough to carry you from one fight sequence to the next fight sequence and forget about the horrendous acting in between. That's it. The incredible stunts that you see, that's why you watch Jackie Chan movies. He's world renowned for his ability to do these insane stunts and his like actual desire to do them. Incredible.
As he's doing awesome stunts behind you on the screen, actually. The table saw one he's doing right now. That thing blew my mind. I was like, what? And it was
actually running.
So yeah, I read that in trivia. Instead, even though the camera was far enough away, he still was like, I'm just going to do it with a real table saw. I was like, oh.
I wonder if they had a real blade or if they dulled it.
I feel like with Jackie Chan, nothing's dull,
Yeah,
nothing's
just
fake.
bought a table saw. All right, fire it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go along with what you were saying of getting us from each scene to the next, each fight scene, it almost seems like they understood that in the plot of the movie, and so it was like a lot of the story parts were like rudely interrupted by action, like the demons breaking into Lakeisha's house. And like they're sitting there speaking Mandarin to each other on the floor, and then as they're like having a moment, it's just like there's no waiting. It's just immediately they're inside and they're, trying to steal the tape that he doesn't have or whatever. Yeah, my thoughts are pretty much the same as. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's something that I really love about this movie and Rumble in the Bronx, which is another really well-known Jackie Chan movie. The plots are the exact same. They're the exact same. In Rumble in the Bronx, it's diamonds, and they stash them in a kid's wheelchair, and the kid's sister is part of a gang, and Jackie Chan like essentially is trying to get these diamonds back to get them out, to get this gang out of there. And this like Mr. Nice Guy is essentially the same thing. He is inadvertently taken into a world of gangs and violence by some random on the street that happens to lose their shit with him. And it's always just like ends up being him inadvertently pulled into it.
And being a nice guy.
And being no more Mr. Nice Guy.
So there was a trivia that I read, kind of skipping to the end of the movie here, where when he drives the truck through the house, they actually did that, and it was so destructive that I guess the Melbourne government was just like banned him from ever filming there again. I read something like that. I was like, really? Like they really drove a truck through the house?
Apparently they left everything. They just left a huge mess.
What?
Drove it and left it.
Yeah, so the government was like, you guys left a huge mess. You're fucking never allowed to come here again.
Just leave the broken down house.
I don't know, man.
It was like, it's so hard to tell if they used an actual location for most of it and then just rebuilt it as close as they could. Because like to destroy a home like that was a really nice house. It kind of looked like a McDonald's play place from the outside.
Yeah, it did.
But inside, it was super nice. And I can't imagine that they would just demolish something like that just for a movie. So I kind of wonder if they had the original shoot location and then just built an approximation out of plywood and like cheap materials. Because you only see like fragments of it at a time as he's blowing shit up and driving through it.
I actually do think he did.
All of that garbage.
I think they actually did, because I was reading something. I was trying to find trivia for this movie, but there's not a lot. And so I was like, I found this where it was just going through the mistakes of the movie. And one of them was that in certain scenes where they're driving through, you can see the house is made of plywood. So I think they definitely made a replica of whatever this house was. Yeah. So I think they definitely, I mean, you don't destroy $1 million house with a truck for a Jackie Chan movie.
I wonder if they did such a good job with the replica that they just used it for the other scenes too. Because that fountain that was out front, they destroyed that. The fountain in the little courtyard, the swimming pool or hot tub with no stairs in or out. Did you notice that at the very beginning of the movie? That's not a hot tub. It's just a fountain. It's a water feature.
Did you notice that when they cut back to Giancarlo's house, it's the exact same shot, and Tina's inside the tub?
Oh, really?
They go back, and Tina's still. It shows her like getting in the tub, and then like she's dead. Obviously, she got buried at the guest house.
Taken to the guest house.
Yeah.
So just to jump in real quick, according to this article that I pulled up, the saw blade for the table saw stunt, it was a real saw blade. It was not dull. It was a real one.
You madman, Jackie.
I figured.
Yeah. Well, because you saw in the bloopers, he did it a bunch of times too.
Yeah.
You saw him try it a couple of times.
Angle as he like rolls over it.
Jackie is a perfectionist. Oftentimes, he will do an extremely dangerous stunt, get quite fucked up from it, and then see it and think it's not good enough and want to do it again. His like most famous stunt from Police Story, where he drops from the clock tower. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah, that's a brutal stunt.
Yeah, he lands on like this shed that destroys, and then he breaks through it and lands on his head. And that was the first take. It took them 4 days. I know we're not talking about Police Story, but it's just an example of his like perseverance. It took him 4 days before he finally dropped, and then he did it 2 more times after because he didn't like the way it looked. But it's probably 4 stories, man. It's a fucking clock tower, and he lands on his head the first time.
Oh wow!
Falls through an awning though, like any good cartoon.
Yeah, totally.
Falls through the awning and then the shed and right onto his little face.
Yeah, watching this movie actually made me realize that I don't know if I've seen any Jackie Chan movies other than Rush Hour.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you should
my
watch
first
Rebel
Jackie
and
Chan movie.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go and watch more of them just because I was so much like every time there was like a dialogue scene, I was just, man, like how are they going to get to the next action part? I just wanted more Jackie Chan action. So I guess it's kind of the whole point of the movies. But
And yeah, that's basically Jackie Chan from the start. He's been known for his action. I mean, he
Yeah.
hasn't taken more of like a dramatic or actual role in acting itself until like The Foreigner, man. And that movie came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
and
well I have seen Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Noon. I have seen those ones. If you count, I mean, there's still Jackie Chan movies with a little bit of action, Jackie Chan action, but not as much. So Owen Wilson tried to steal the show.
Yeah, those are more Western. You got to go back and watch the Jackie Chan before he came and it was like Hollywood.
Yeah.
The Golden Harvest, the films with Sammo Hung. Watch the Police Stories, and Who Am I is one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. That one's incredible. But Mr. Nice Guy is actually the first movie that was scripted and spoken in English for Jackie Chan.
I read that somewhere.
Everything before that was dubbed, and yeah, I mean,
okay.
Speaking of dubbing,
Right.
why did they dub the demons? Like every single demon was dubbed, and then 2/3 of the way through the movie, some of them weren't dubbed anymore.
I
And
I felt like the whole
in the face.
the
Oh,
demons,
dude, it was so
the
hilarious.
acting of the demons was so bad. Giancarlo, what are you doing over there? Fuck.
I
Well, and they
wonder
were
if they did that because they were gonna be dubbed always, and so like if it's dubbed, it's not really gonna match up perfectly. So why not just oversell and do a cartoonish performance with your face?
so that it makes sense. Yeah, well, they show up to Jackie's apartment and throw in 4 grenades, and he was like, "Take that, Giancarlo," and I was like, "That's not even his house. What are you talking about?" What?
That's actually funny that you say that. Every time Giancarlo's men were somewhere, the demons were there at the same time. It was like Giancarlo's men, demons, Jackie Chan, everyone always at once.
The only note I have in the bad guys is Giancarlo's men are a bunch of knuckleheads.
Oh,
They're,
yeah.
Like, well, and then so like when he gets to the construction site and they're all like following him like a bunch of weirdos, and like when he did the thing where he like leaned to the side and they all like in a row leaned. I thought it was funny.
Jackie is a huge fan of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton.
Oh, okay.
And so he frequently has those like old style comedy callbacks. And that was
Nice.
definitely one of them where they mimic him. He looks around, no one there. And then the my only note on music, coincidentally, was from the Blue Door scene as well, where it went to like a Tom and Jerry chase music, whereas everything else was kind of like 80s synth stuff.
It's funny that they did like the Tom and Jerry chase scene for the Blue Doors, because that Blue Door scene was actually a parody of Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee scene with the mirrors.
I read that online somewhere.
Yeah, that was Sammo Hung wanting to do kind of a parody and make it similar to the Room of Mirrors for Enter the Dragon. So they had the Blue Doors and they're going through and opening different ones, and there's something. Oh, go ahead.
I was just say, speaking of the director, I was like, who the hell is this bike messenger guy? Why is he dressed this way? And then when it gets to the bloopers at the end, I was like, oh, he's okay. He's just like, it's the director of the movie. Okay, I get it. Like, I didn't know that.
Dude, he had one of the best lines when he fucking shows up and sees, after like the van crashes and he sees the villain and they're like arresting him and he punches him in the face. The villain's like, he hit me. And he's like, your mother too.
Another Yo Mama line.
Yeah.
Nice.
And your mother too, he says to him. I'm like, oh man, that's fucking awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I liked his line when, I can't remember who, but someone asks him if he's okay and he just says, no.
Yeah. So there was another part that I thought was really funny was when he was trying to track down Mickey at the plaza or whatever, and there's like 12 cops right behind him, and he's like, no, back away, and they just like keep following him directly. That just was hilarious to me, and they're all just like, what happened? And he's like, your men, they're stupid, they're wearing these vests, they're obvious everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Going back to what you said about Giancarlo's men being useless.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, when Deanna is running away with like the video recorder and her partner falls and drops it, and she grabs the tape and runs away, the fucking henchman just grabs the video recorder and brings it back to Giancarlo, and he's like, hey, they dropped this, and Giancarlo's like, where's the tape? And he's like, the girl took it. He's like, get the fucking tape. I was like, oh man, no wonder Giancarlo's so mad all the time. He's got just the worst help ever.
Yeah.
They knowingly left the tape.
Yeah.
They weren't like, oh, I don't know where the tape is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got it.
They watched her
took it.
take it and then told him that as they are standing there around him. I feel like they do that on purpose. The only one who's like somewhat competent is Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Blondie, I don't know.
The main bad man besides Giancarlo.
Eats a freaking habanero and just keeps going.
Yeah. Who was that
Karate
guy?
Vibe,
He's
Vanilla
just
Ice.
head henchman guy? Was he anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't any. Okay. I didn't know if he was like an actor that's supposed to be known or.
It's a mini
I'm
boss.
weird.
Yeah, mini boss, exactly. I'm sure he's in other ones. He's probably in Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah, he's probably a big stunt actor.
Makes sense.
He actually seemed like he was pretty good at martial arts.
Yeah.
In his fight sequences, they were actually good.
Yeah.
He was throwing like some sick high kicks and back kicks and shit.
Yeah.
All of those fight sequences feel like they have so much weight to them. Like when they throw a punch, even if it like hits an arm, the arm flies back. Like I'm not sure if that's a Samo thing. I think it might be, and then Jackie kind of just carried it forward. But like everything feels like it has so much weight, whereas a lot of, say, Jean-Claude fight scenes, they're so like fast and airy, and nothing feels like it has much impact unless it's the big signature hit, like the big signature kick. Whereas this one, everything feels like if you get hit with something, it's gonna hurt. And Jackie does the classic, it's not a Jackie Chan movie unless he gets hit somewhere and
Yeah.
rubs
Yeah.
it. Ow!
Oh.
Usually his hand. Usually
Yeah.
he hurts his hand.
Gets
Yeah.
his
Or his
knuckles hit or I feel like the Jean-Claude movies are kind of more influenced from movies like Bruce Lee. You see that
Yeah.
same common like like long drawn out fucking hand shaking, flexing all your muscles as hard as you can so you get the muscles from Brussels pose. You know, I feel like
That's a good point.
that's kind of the Jean-Claude, whereas Sammo Hung wanted to step away from that in martial arts movies. He wanted it to be more realistic and frenetic, and that's why he did it most of his fight scenes in these like big urban areas and have really long one-on-one fight scenes. Like Jackie Chan always fights a boss. There's always an underboss, and there are always these really long fight sequences, and that really wasn't seen before Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan.
One thing I noticed about these fight scenes is it like, and maybe just Jackie Chan in general, was it almost feels like he's always juggling everybody that he's fighting with. There's always like 12 guys, and he's always trying to like, I gotta push this guy off, and I punched him, and he's away enough for me to stop this guy, and then so it feels like there's a lot of going on all the time, but he feels in control, but also like just barely in control, where at any moment he could get thrown into a table saw, or you know some guy hits him with a chair or whatever. Like this. My favorite parts are him when he picks up things and throws them at people with his feet. I love that part. I love those parts.
Like 15 or 16 different things where he uses the environment, different aspects of the environment.
That's the best.
One thing about your point about him juggling, I feel like it's never too many though. There's never like seven guys surrounding him, all just doing this, waiting for their turn to attack. It's usually like people in tandem fighting, and then like you said, he's got to hit this guy off, got to beat the guy off just far enough so that he can get space and fight the other guy. And it's nice seeing the fight scenes where there aren't just guys waiting to fight, because that's never going to happen in a real fight. People are just going to suck you in the back of the head.
Exactly, and how often does that happen when he's fighting? He gets kicked right in the back, or someone will come up and grab his arms, and that's
launches him forward.
Exactly, that's more of that realistic fight sequences, is them doing that. Like that classic stand around one-on-one fighting in a circle is nonsense. Like you said, it's never gonna happen. Someone's just gonna fucking brick you in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan movies or Sammo Hung, I'm not sure. Probably both. I mean, definitely heavily influenced from each other, but having that juggling act the whole time is just awesome.
Yeah,
Very seems very real. and
It
he's
seems
just
real and
barely
organic.
hanging on. Totally.
Well, it's because
There's
every time that
one-
he gets kicked from behind or whatever, he turns it into his next move. He kind of just goes with it and kind of flows with the whole thing. Yeah. What are you saying,
Yeah.
Speedman?
I was just about to say it's very organic. And then you
So-
made that exact point where he'll get kicked in the back and then launched into someone and grab them. And one of the scenes, I think it was in the construction site, he's on his back, he gets knocked down, and then someone grabs his ankle and yanks him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he turns it into the like
Jump
kip
up.
up almost
Oh,
into
yeah.
a kick into the dude's chest. So like, man, like it's super unrealistic for that to happen, but it flows so well with the camera and with emotion that it's believable. It's like, yeah, that would actually happen in a fight.
I
So-
practiced that move. I honestly practiced that move after I saw that. I would get my old neighbor to hold my foot, and I would try and do a jumping, spinning kick, and like kick him in the head to get my foot out.
Did you
Oh, shit,
ever?
after seeing that?
Did it ever work?
Most of the time I had to like do like almost like a handstand. I would jump and put my hands down, but I would, you know, I could do pretty decent.
So, according to Google, in the 1980s, he fractured his skull and also impaired his hearing. And the reason, I don't know if this was mentioned or not, but he's also a stunt choreographer, which would explain why a lot of his things go so flowy together.
Yeah, he almost died from that.
Really? It was during
Yeah.
Lung Hing Fu Dai. Never
Is that
heard
when
of
he
it.
like? I think he jumped over this like almost big castle like crenellation, and he fucking fell like 30 feet or something. And
Yeah,
does he
was
not
supposed to
use-
grab a branch or something?
Yeah,
He does use stunt doubles, but it's only when absolutely necessary. This is all according to Google, by the way.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if he uses like safety rope? Because if he jumped, you'd assume that they would have him like tied so that they could. I don't know. Maybe the '90s they didn't do that as much.
I don't know,
One
man.
scene in the movie where you can see his safety line. It's right
Oh,
after
okay.
he crawls up onto the I-beam, right after his apartment blows up.
Oh,
For
right.
like 2 seconds, you can see the wire right behind him.
That's
Well, it would make sense because
super-
there's an explosion, and that was probably not. They didn't
Yeah.
composite that in or anything. They really blew that up behind him. So
also he's carrying someone, and I'm sure when there's a risk
Yeah.
of life to someone else, not just himself, they take more precautions.
yeah,
But
that makes
also,
sense.
what the fuck was that I-beam doing anyway? It was just bolted to the top of the other building. I was looking at it because I'm like, what purpose does this giant I-beam protruding from the side of this building have? Nothing. It's literally for them to walk across.
Yeah, it's his way out. It's his way out.
Yeah, it's
Maybe he
got like
installed it.
it had like a channel on it that fit over the eave of the other roof that was just bolted, and then the top of it was just like sticking out onto the other roof, so it was serving zero purpose. I saw that and I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's see where we're at here. So we've touched on what is that?
Don't worry about it. It's just a video.
Well, it was very loud. So the so I have one last note in the story/narrative category that I was just like, I don't understand this. Why did Romeo was the cop's name? Why did he just start wearing normal clothes halfway through the movie? He just all of a sudden like he got the tape from his son and was just like, oh, I'm just gonna not put on the suit for the rest of the movie. I was
Gonna
like,
put
what is
on
he?
this cool starter jacket.
Yeah, it confused me. It was such a weird choice that I was like,
I did hear the like chief commissioner say you're too close to him before, so maybe he pulled him off the case, and so that was them showing that he was pulled off the case because he's in civvies. He's not in his
Yeah.
uniform.
well, and then they like apparently he got the video, gave it to the chief, and then they were on their way to Giancarlo's house while the judge or whatever was reviewing the tape, and then you'd
Right.
never hear what happened with the tape. I mean, I guess Giancarlo's house exploded, so apparently the cocaine flying out of the blowing up house was enough to lock him away. What did he say? We finally have enough to lock Giancarlo away for good.
The old fucking finger,
Yeah.
toe click.
Oh gosh.
It would have been awesome if it was just like why would he think it was cocaine? This building just blew up. I would be thinking it's probably construction material,
Yeah,
maybe
drywall
drywall. Exactly.
Yeah.
You just taste it. This is some good fucking asbestos.
So before we go, I don't know if there's much else we want to touch on as far as, do you guys have any story, continuity, weird stuff you guys want to talk about or anything?
The only thing that I thought was interesting about the story, it's not really about this story, but it was initially going to be Police Story 5. It was going to be part of the film series. And then they were like, nope, let's just make this a standalone, which was probably a good call, but they revised the script to do that. So I'm curious what it would have been in the Police Story series. I actually am not sure if I'm sure I've seen them all, but not in recent that I know, like the overarching plot for all of the police stories. But I thought that was an interesting note.
Nice. Interesting. That is interesting. What about you, Speedman?
No, like there wasn't much to the story.
Yeah.
So it's hard to
what story?
digest and talk about it too much. There weren't like, I don't feel like it was complex enough to have any big plot holes or anything. I'm sure there were, but
What do you mean? It was so complex. We had the demons and Giancarlo and this poor cook Jackie
and the cocaine.
and the cocaine and freaking videotape. Like,
That's true. There's a lot of elements in that.
And Lakeisha got
Damn.
all tied up in everything, and whatever that reporter's lady's name was, she got tied up in the whole thing.
Diana and Mickey. They just captured poor Mickey.
True. That was a little
Lee.
harsh.
Yeah.
I like how when they first started making like English movies, they used just their regular names. Jackie is often called Jackie in movies, and
Yeah.
Mickey is actually Mickey. That's her name, is Mickey Lee. So it's just like they just use their names.
Somewhere in the trivia I was reading, I heard that or read that this was her first feature film.
Yeah, yeah. It was
So,
her
that's
debut
interesting.
film, and I guess this took her career off. Her career took off.
Nice.
She took her career off. Oh,
Took it off the back
baby.
burner, and now it's full force.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Yep.
Oh, there was
I
one
gotcha.
element at the beginning of the movie during the first drug deal where it goes bad and the demons pull their guns out and Blondie throws the briefcase to block the bullet, like throws it perfectly square and it blocks the bullet and then ricochets. Oh no, the dude hits it because it was
Yeah.
going to hit him. And then I was expecting a whole bunch of money or something to just keep falling throughout the rest of the shot, and there was nothing.
Some money did fall, but not very
Yeah?
much.
Well, I guess
I think
that's
actually it might have just been the shot up, and then like you saw the money come out. But yeah, I don't think.
there was
also-
no like fighting and falling money.
Along that same vein, there, when what's his name, Romeo, the cop, puts the tape that he got from his kid, and he like is watching it, and he like gets on the phone to his boss. It was just the beginning of the movie. It was
Yeah,
supposed to
it's
be the tape
literally
of
the
them from
footage.
behind the wall, and it shows the wall that they were hiding behind blow up, and I was like, "Oh my
They
god!"
just took
The shots.
Yeah, the shot,
Yep.
and then said that it's the tape.
I wrote that down too because I was laughing. I'm like, how
Yeah.
are the reporters from the second story getting these like super close face shots
Yeah, right.
from multiple different angles?
They had one camera. It was one tape.
Yeah.
Nobody edited it. This kid had it the whole time. Oh gosh, hilarious.
They were
okay.
They had changed locations. That was the second location where they were discovered. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Also, we already talked about the demons. I'm just gonna move on. The only other thing I have to say about the demons is I noticed that every time they did show up, there was additional like weird, cool sounds, like weird, creepy sounds that
do.
showed up. Yeah, they were
So
like,
you
yeah.
knew they were Australian.
Yeah, because I didn't know based off how we spoke.
With his weird, that dude really just, I think he didn't care what was going on. He just wanted to throw those grenades. That's the only thing he wanted.
Oh yeah. In
I
the
should have
mall.
counted how many scenes he threw grenades in. I think it was almost every single one that he was in.
Oh man, that guy had the coolest red shades though. And the
Yeah.
bucket hat, the fucking red
Oh.
shades and bucket hat.
I bought children's shades from the dollar store like a year ago, and they're almost exactly the same. They're like perfectly fitted to your face.
Nice.
And I don't have a bucket hat though. I was gonna dress up as him for the episode.
Oh, that would have
I
been
could
so
scrounge
good.
around and find those glasses real quick, probably.
So to okay, so none of you, including Uncle Pumpkin, had subtitles for your movie, right? Because you guys didn't have it up in Canada on Amazon Prime, and I don't know what he watched it on, but on Amazon Prime they had subtitles. So there wasn't really much to say in between. When Mickey first shows up to the airport, it was just like, oh, who's this? Oh, it's my friend. Okay, and then they left. The one that was weird though was after when they were at Lakeisha's house, and Jackie had an itch and Lakeisha scratched his back, and then before they had the sitting down scene, she was like, oh, I need some, basically what he was saying to Jackie was, I need some underwear because my bag was lost and I don't have any, I need underwear. And he was like, oh, she needs clothes. And so then she was like, oh, I think I have something. She's a little bit smaller than me. But when she was standing like this and pointing like this, like, oh, she's a little bit smaller. And so Mickey then said, she just said that I had small breasts. And hers are smaller than mine, though. Like, she got mad. That's what she got mad about in that scene, was that she thought that Lakeisha was saying she had small breasts. And then he was like, no, she did say small, but it doesn't. And then, so she's like, oh, I'll just go get you some clothes. And that's why Mickey was all weird. And then when they were sitting on the floor, Jackie was like, we're just friends. Me and Lakeisha are just friends. She was like, well, you sure seemed intimate. And he was like, well, should I just be mean to her? And then she was like, no, of course not. And he was like, okay, well, you should try to be nice to her. And she was like, okay, I will. And then the demons came in. That's literally what happened. I was like, what was even the point of whatever? They would try to character develop it, but then the demons came in. And those are the only instances where Mandarin was useful in the movie of knowing what was going on. So
thank you for telling us.
Yeah, I feel like it didn't add much to the movie, so you didn't really miss out on much. But I wanted to make sure for anybody out there watching.
It did. That was the moment when Mickey started to like Lakeisha. That was the moment she changed. That's a big moment for Mickey and for us as viewers of this movie. Now we know that she is changing and understanding that Jackie has friends. And that's a big moment. That's a big moment in a relationship, you know?
I'm glad that they had the nice payoff at the end in the truck where they didn't say anything to each other the rest of the movie. It was definitely well worth it. Okay.
At the guest house.
Yeah, at the guest house. Anyway, so I don't really have much else other than I have comments on choreography stuff. So do you guys have anything you want to bring up before we start talking about our favorite stunts and stuff?
No? It depends on like the flow. I got a bunch of stuff here just talking about like different scenes in the movie.
I mean, this one is this. I mean, I kind of just threw the run of show out just because we were jumping all over the place. So mostly, we can get everything out of the way and then spend some time talking about stunts. So whatever you want to bring up.
Yeah, I actually liked the way they had the contrast at the start of the show. They showed Giancarlo, this big, bad, wealthy like villain, with Tina Baby. Oh, Tina Baby, come here! And he fucking just tongue in her mouth, and then he takes her to the guest house, and the most obvious stunt double ever right there is hilarious when they throw her. It's just like shifts and it's a dude now flying through the air. Then she lands, and then it flips to like this super nice guy, Jackie Chan, doing the cooking show. And I thought that was just like a great way of introducing the villain and introducing the good guy. Yeah, and it's just like classic. And then it goes into the always classic warehouse drug deal scene, where it sounded like the demons were surprised to show up, which I thought was kind of weird. The Giancarlo's like henchman was like, the demons are here, like they weren't supposed to be there. I was like, what? Did they not know they were coming? What is happening?
Well, yeah, wasn't the whole point you were meeting to get your cocaine back? And then he's like, I brought the money with me.
Going to show up because that was his stolen cocaine.
Yeah.
So maybe they were surprised that they did actually show.
Good point. Maybe it was supposed to be the actual original people that he was dealing with. I don't know.
Yeah.
All we know is that there was a drug deal that went wrong, and that Giancarlo is meeting with the demons now. So who knows? Maybe it was supposed to be this other person he was dealing with.
Oh, and then he was like, what kind of world is this where you have to buy back your own stuff or whatever?
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, it's 10 million. He was like, that's my cocaine. I'm giving you 500,000 for it. And they're like, nope, we want the whole 10 million. He was like, what kind of world is this? Silly.
I also like how Jackie Chan never knows how to use guns. He doesn't know what guns are. He's like Batman. He doesn't want to kill anyone. He doesn't want to use guns. So he like sees them and he like doesn't know what to do with them. It's empty. The clip's out, and she's like, "It's empty." And he like looks in it, and then boom! Now it's empty.
And then he keeps it in his hand, and that guy comes up, and he just like turns it around and hands it to him, and the guy goes to grab it, and he kicks the gun out of his other hand. I was like, "That's clever, dude." Sorry, Speedman, go ahead.
I like how Jackie not only doesn't really know how guns work, he usually doesn't even want to fight. Like most of the time, he's trying to run away, and then he'll get cornered and have to fight some people, and then he tries to run away again, and then gets cornered and has to fight more people, and then runs and then has to fight the rest of them because he gets trapped somewhere in a tall building or something, and then gets to do a cool jump across the rooftop stunt. But I like how he's always trying to avoid violence and like trick people, run away,
trap him so he can run away,
not make him too hard unless he's like snapping their arm backwards or something. But that's cool for the camera.
The first fight sequence that we see is awesome when he's carrying his groceries and Diana comes ripping up and he bumps into her, and then these guys come in and start attacking him. He just like ties them up with their jackets, and he's just like holding them.
He's like, what are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? I don't want to fight. And they just like punch him in the face, and then he starts fighting them all. Oh, it's just so good. It's so wholesome. That's what I love about Jackie Chan movies. They're always so wholesome. He never wants to fight. Like you said, he's just a guy trying to live his life, but he has the ability.
That's a pretty common thing among martial artists and like people who actually know how to fight. True. They're rarely the ones out trying to start fights. Yeah. Because they know that they'll probably hurt somebody, which is the same with Jackie in these movies. Like he outmatches, not always. The henchmen were pretty good at fighting some of them. But yeah, maybe that's a similar thing where he knows that he'll fuck people up, so he doesn't want to fight.
Yeah.
He just wants to run. I don't want any trouble.
That's a good point, because he even says often, I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
He does say that often. So that's actually a very good point. I didn't even think of it from that.
One of the core tenets of a lot of martial arts is like, the whole truth strength is knowing when not to fight kind of deal, right? Like knowing just, I feel like that's always like a Miyagi thing to say or something like that,
And having experience fighting, you realize how hurt people get. Or like drunk people out at the clubs or whatever want to feel tough and get in a fight. Like you can ruin people's lives in a street fight. You can ruin your own life.
Yeah, and that's also why like martial arts movies can be dangerous, is because they kind of dumb down what actual fights look like. Like no fight is choreographed like Jackie Chan. They're way more hectic, especially if people don't know how to fight. It's just like there's no blocking of punches and exchanges.
No.
It's dirty, it's messy, and it's fast and violent. Like it doesn't look like the movie. So people see these movies and they get this like glorified view of what a fight looks like, and then they go and get in a fight and get fucking punched. Realize how much that sucks. Or also like how often you hear about people getting in bar fights, like you're saying, and someone falls and cracks their head and fucking dies, man.
Yeah.
It's just so that's a good
Jackie
point.
Being responsible, just trying to avoid confrontation.
Totally.
And I've seen something like that happen at a bar before. Some guy just heard some yelling, turned around, and some guy punched the other guy. He hit the ground, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I saw like blood coming out of the guy. I was like, "Oh!" So
scary.
It definitely happens really fast, and all it takes is one punch.
And for what? It's always some fucking person with a fragile ego. So Carlo, fucking fragile ego.
Carlo, oh baby boy.
Right, the whole scene where he was like he has his hands and feet tied, and he's like, "Oh, fight me!" I was like, "What a dirtbag."
Dude, that is such a good scene, though. What a genius idea from Sammo Hung or Jackie, if he's a choreographer, and thought that up. I love that fight sequence. It's like Jackie Chan getting the shit beaten out of him until he figures out how he can use it to his advantage. Yeah. And that's one of the best things about Jackie Chan, is he always uses his environment. Like Speedman said earlier, there's multiple times in the movie. I mean, every single fucking fight sequence, he's using the environment.
Every single one.
But I just really liked in that one in particular because you're like, oh boy, Jackie's tied up. How's he going to get out of this one? And then he spins and he wraps the rope up and then comes flying out and wraps it around Giancarlo's neck. So then they can't pull it. And then he just starts.
He's like, no, you pull. No, you pull. He's like, yeah.
And then he just speed bags him.
Yeah.
And then he immediately is just like, has like the worst shiner or whatever. I was just like, how does that? It doesn't happen that fast.
To me, that scene also showed this immaculate, clean villain is human. He bleeds. He's not this like super villain where he can't take damage, you know? It's almost like the 300 in Xerxes where he shows him that a god can bleed. I kind of got the same vibe from that when he finally hit and like drew some blood on Giancarlo. It shows this guy. Speaking of the immaculate, it's always funny the henchmen, like his business partners, are always so upset to put on the booties for their shoes.
Yeah.
They may as well be giving us condoms.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So speaking of Giancarlo and that whole, God bleeding and stuff or whatever you said, for a lot of the movie until that happened, I was kind of expecting Giancarlo to be really good at fighting. I thought he was going to bust out some sort of moves. Because like there were a couple times where I feel like I saw him do like a flying kick at some guy or something, right? But then obviously if he just ties Jackie up to fight him and then Jackie immediately dispatches him with the rope, it's like he just, he was a coward. It was a cowardice move. I don't know.
Richard Norton is actually a martial artist, and he's in another movie with Jackie Chan where they have some really good fight sequences. But he didn't really do a whole lot in this one. He was more like the classic Bond villain where he's just the face almost. The real villain seemed like it was more the demon henchman and like just actually all of Giancarlo's henchmen.
Just a wave of people that Jackie had to fight off.
Yeah, and like Vanilla Ice. He was the one we saw.
It was only
lots.
one confrontation at the very end. I guess that's kind of main boss-ish. You get your little mini bosses and cannon fodder to do most of the work, and then it's the big climactic scene at the end.
Yeah.
And it was interesting how like he realized he was super outmatched and had to handicap Jackie to like prove to his people that he could beat him, making him seem even weaker rather than just getting beat.
Yeah. Well, he showed him. He blew up his house.
He
Also,
did.
why'd the house blow up? I don't think a house would blow up unless
Cocaine is very flammable.
There's actually, when he first drives through the gate, you can see an explosion. They had explosives obviously in the gate. So when he drove the truck through, you can see the charge go.
Yeah. Well, and then there was like the first two vehicles just got crushed, and then the second two vehicles decided to explode. I was like, I don't know if that's really how it works.
Yeah, you know what? You did say that you didn't think that they would spend millions of dollars destroying a house, but they definitely spent a lot of money destroying nice fucking cars.
Yeah, they
But
did
those
not
were
look like fake
probably-
cars.
Yeah, just body kits on
Oh, I guess
a
that's
piece
true.
of shit or something,
Yeah.
or an
Yeah.
already unrunning Porsche. Because they like fucked up Porsches, Rolls Royce,
Yeah, Lambos.
Lambo.
Did you guys already talk about the budget for this movie? Because
No.
it was
No.
$6 million.
Wow, really?
Yeah, for the budget for Mr. Nice Guy, it was $6 million.
And I think in the box office, it said in the States it did 12 million.
I haven't.
I think I did see 12 million somewhere. So at least it made its money back.
Yeah, box
And then
office it was 12 million.
And then
in the
Hong
US.
Kong, it was like 43 million or something. I don't know what the
It was 45.
Oh,
But
wow.
45. Yeah. Oh, fuck. 2 million off. God damn it.
It seems like such an insignificant amount of money compared to any Marvel movie. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
they're
it doesn't
making,
make $1 billion, it's a failure.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
right.
But
I mean-
the production cost is $250 million on those ones.
Yeah, the CG is so much too, and I don't think there was any CG in Mr. Nice Guy.
No,
I don't think so.
none at
did,
all.
did you guys know that he was 43 when he did this movie?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Jackie
And-
Chan was 43
Yeah,
in
he was 43.
1997?
Yeah, he was
He's
43
67 now, right?
Yeah, he's 67 now. He was 43 when he did this
Holy
movie.
shit,
Wow.
dude. I didn't know he's that old.
Yeah, and then
It's pretty impressive.
Samo, the director, is
Yep.
apparently his lifelong friend, and it was one of the last 7 movies that he directed with him.
Yeah, so
he-
a cool thing. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, sorry.
I don't know if that was mentioned or not. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
No, that wasn't. That's a great piece. I was going to say that Sammo Hung was the eldest of the Kung Fu brothers and the first to make the mark on the industry. So he was given the name Dagoda, which means big brother or biggest big brother. And Jackie Chan was Dago. I don't know how to say it. I'm probably butchering that, but
Sounded
it's
good.
spelled Dagoh. And them, along with another guy, made like the 3 dragons, is what they called them, because they were in so many movies together. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is
I don't even know the other
Interesting.
movies, and I don't know the other guy, but there was an actor in the movie that they said was very famous in China and Taiwan that they wanted to put in explicitly for clout, really. And
The
that
Ice
was
Cream Man.
Yeah, the Ice Cream Man. He's in
Yeah.
Rumble in the Bronx too, also in an ice cream truck.
Oh, really?
So they put him in just because he's super famous, and they thought people would be super stoked on it because we're all very
Yeah, I
easy to
read that.
please.
Well, I read
We're
that.
all
Yeah, they
like-
were saying that they were hoping that Chinese and Taiwanese people would be surprised and excited that he was in the movie.
I mean, I'm always surprised and excited when someone makes a cameo. I'm always like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
Little
right.
cameo. Hey, it's Stan Lee.
yeah. Oh
Or
wow,
it's
look at
Arnold.
it.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Or like when Matt Damon was randomly in Interstellar or whatever, right? He just like showed up in that movie. That was weird.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. So let's go ahead and I want to move into these stunts because
Yeah,
I want to
let's
have
do
a. So I think the one that I actually like, I didn't stop the movie to see anything, but it stood out to me the most, which I guess in all of the Jackie Chan movies I have seen were the scenes where they're in tight quarters. So where they're in the van and he's like fighting off like 5 or 6 dudes. That's that real juggling that he's doing. Like he's pushing that guy off and immediately turning around and smacking that guy. And you kind of get lost in what's happening. But
And
I was
then
like,
they
that's
hit the wall, and all of a sudden a knife is planted beside his head. And you're like, what?
yeah.
Pulls the
I just thought
e-brake
that-
to start the fight. And
Yeah.
then when the passenger leans over the back of the seat, pulls the seat back lever down so he falls. Like
yeah.
those little environmental
Yeah.
elements are so fucking
That-
good.
And he's just like doing all this stuff inside the car to just like barely even miss all the stuff. And yeah, that was one of the ones where I was just like, that is some choreography right there, where it looks good when you're watching it. It's not, like Bourne Identity movie where you're just, the camera's like this the entire time. You're like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, are you punching him? Are you slapping him? I don't know what you're doing. So
I fucking hate that camera effect. How they're like, oh, let's put them in the violence and put a GoPro on their head, and we'll have all the shots with a fist hitting. That's all you see. I just hate that like shaky.
yeah,
Bourne. I don't like those fight sequences. You can't tell what's going on. It just is too frenetic.
yeah, agreed.
And I,
do
know
love
that's
those
with
movies,
intent.
but
Oh, so do
I
I.
love
I know
those
it's
movies,
with
but-
intent, but
yeah.
it's just
What was your top stunt, Dread?
fuck, man. I don't know. There's so many like really good stunts in the movie. One of my favorite ones, which is probably pretty overlooked, is when he jumps off the bridge and catches that like big crane kind of
Oh, that was pretty cool.
like crane pendulum. I don't even know what the fuck that was. But
That one's
Yeah.
great because you can tell that he misses it in the first shot.
yeah.
Like he's so far away from it and already falling, and then they cut to it and he just like grabs it.
Yeah.
Well, because
But,
I'd never
yeah.
seen it before,
And
so I
then
thought he
when
was
he-
gonna miss. Go ahead.
Yeah, because he probably did, because they show in the bloopers him hitting the water. So that
yeah.
might have been when he missed it. But like you were saying, Dread, the rest of that scene, when he's just like swinging down on it, and then the
Dude.
other dude hits the fucking wall
Yeah.
and he drops off, that scene is crazy.
He also, Jackie Chan drops like fucking 10 feet,
Yeah.
swinging fast, and just
Yeah.
lands on the pavement. I'm like, dude, that
He
I
did a
would've-
little slide. He slid a little bit when he landed.
I would have landed on my head and
Dude,
probably died.
doing that at 43 as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, that's
How did
impressive.
his kneecaps not just shoot directly out of his legs?
I gotta let Bane out of the room. I'll just be one
All
second.
right.
Okay.
My favorite stunt, it just seems so dangerous to me, is in the construction scene when he gets shoved backwards into the wheelbarrow and then it rolls down that ramp and then it tips off the back and he
flips over it.
rolls over, grabs the handles, and then is dangling off of it. Like, he might have been wearing a wire. I don't know how often he does wear one. Maybe he wasn't for that, but like, that is so sketchy and so easy
Yeah.
to go wrong.
Yeah.
If that
man.
wheelbarrow
like,
didn't
that one
catch where it was
seemed-
supposed to go or anything.
Yeah, there was probably a big mat below, but rolling backwards and then grabbing something and then the weight of you flinging around and
Yeah.
holding on to like vertical posts, not a post like this, holding with no
Yeah.
stopper on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, that scene was fucking mental.
The amount
There
of
was a
hand
s-
strength
yeah.
you would need for that would be ridiculous. Sorry, Dread.
No, it's all good, man. There was a scaffold set up that was like kind of where he went through. So if you looked at the way they shot the actual scene, it was from an angle that you couldn't see directly below him. All you
Yeah,
could
that's true.
see was like the distant background, which was far away. You could see the ground then, but I feel like there might have been a mat underneath him, but even still, man,
Probably.
rolling over backwards in a wheelbarrow and catching those like now vertical posts. I
Yeah.
can't imagine how difficult, just like thinking of trying to hold on to those posts of a wheelbarrow. I'm just
Even
thinking
if
of
you were-
splinters, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even if you
fuck.
were wearing a wire to hold you up, that's just going to stop you from falling. You still have to stop yourself, right, and grab the thing. You still have
Yeah,
to do
like
the
he-
stunt,
Totally.
He wasn't being suspended by the wire.
right?
He rolled out and grabbed it.
I feel like that one you actually couldn't have worn a wire because of the fact that he had to roll over backwards.
Oh,
yeah.
right, yeah.
You know, getting tangled in it or it getting wrapped around your arm.
Yeah,
so
so
they had to
if
have a
he-
mat underneath him.
If he did have
It
a
was probably a
wire,
mat.
he would have had to have been sitting on it and it come between his legs. So then when he rolled over backwards, it would have been in the proper position.
Yeah, which is definitely possible. But
Yeah.
the fact that they didn't show him dangling from above makes me think that there was probably a mat. Because anytime he's hanging off something high, they usually show how dangerous it is
Totally.
and like show below him. And the fact
Mm.
that they didn't makes me skeptical.
Yeah,
That was such a
true.
crazy stunt.
Yeah.
What was your top stunt, Bobby?
That was.
Oh, that
sorry.
was you?
Yeah, that was mine.
Oh no, what's yours, Bobby?
I didn't hear what you said.
No, it's all good.
Oh, mine was. I mean, I really like the van one. I'm trying to think. The one that for some reason I don't know why stands out in my mind is when he got like stumbling backwards and somehow a trash can ended up behind him and he landed in the trash can and then stood up and like I don't even remember what he did, but he like turned around and flung the trash can at the guy. And then in the bloopers, I bet you that one took him a while because at the end they show all these bloopers of the movie, and he fell, and you could tell he smashed his tailbone on the ground because
Oh,
he was
yeah.
just like and they like walk over and he's like barely like able to move and stuff. So I just like I'm for me I'm more of I like the funny stunts that he does. They're always one that I thought was really impressive was when the bus drove past the horse carriage and he was
Yeah.
like going like this across the windows. I was like, what? How would you? Yeah, even if there was a wire there, that's still in order to achieve that effect on camera would be hard. So
That whole horse carriage scene was incredible, man. There were so many different stunts taking place off of that horse carriage. There was people being thrown off of it into fruit stands and into the restaurant is where Jackie Chan ends up. And then going through the whole like urban area where all the signs are above and he's like throwing guys onto the
Yeah.
signs.
yeah,
Love that when he picks him up and throws him onto it and he like rests over his stomach and now he's like 10 feet in the air over a sign.
yeah,
That bus one was crazy. So cool, man. That'd be
yeah.
like I can't imagine how difficult that would be.
Also, well, yeah, because was the bus moving?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
driving by him. The
So
way they
if you're,
filmed
They're
it,
moving in opposite directions.
combined speeds, you're talking. I mean, that would be probably close to impossible for a regular human or anybody at all.
They definitely slowed the carriage down for that scene. Like you can tell by the ground moving in the background. I specifically was looking at that because they show all these different scenes of the carriage to like show you how fast it's going. And then when the bus goes by, it's definitely going slower. Obviously, still insane. It's a moving fucking vehicle going by.
It still would be hard. I mean, he moved his hands quick. You could see him doing it. So pretty interesting.
Totally.
Pretty interesting.
A similar stunt to that one. Sorry, did I cut you off?
No. I'm trying. I was just saying I'm trying to think of more. So you're fine.
A similar stunt to that one is when he's sitting on the door with the table saw between his legs, and they push the door, and he's like walking backwards on it to avoid getting split in half by the table saw.
He's
Very
close.
Similar movement. He's close, and knowing that that is just a regular blade too. Unnecessary risk, Jackie.
Oh, and then the bloopers, and then in the bloopers, they're like practicing or whatever, and he's like, it's right there, and you see him, and he's just like going like this to say like, oh, that was horrible. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's a dangerous scene to do, man. That and him rolling over it. We already talked about that one, but rolling over the table saw was pretty crazy.
That whole construction site scene had so many good stunts, and almost all my favorite using the environment is from that scene. He uses the zip tie when the guy's holding on to that like concrete compactor and latches his thumb onto it and then fucking turns it on and then shoves the other guy into the mixer and turns it on.
That one that he keeps turning around.
And is dubbed screaming. You can see his mouth isn't even moving and it's like this weird scream coming out of him.
I think an underrated stunt to get him onto the door for the table saw is when the door's standing like upright against the table saw here, and Jackie runs, kicks his feet out so they hit the door. And as he's like falling forward, the door comes up and he lands on it like perfectly perpendicular. It's just such a cool little stunt.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Probably took a lot of tries.
I don't think it was mentioned yet, but have you guys noticed how many chase scenes were in this movie?
Well, that was the first like 2/3 of the movie was all him being chased.
Yeah, it was like
away.
4 or 5 at the beginning of the movie.
Once they had Mickey, every fight scene was a chase scene until they had Mickey, and then he went. And we didn't talk about the Pepsi scene yet, though. I don't know what the hell was up with that.
How much do you think Pepsi paid to be in that movie?
I mean, I don't know. They had at least 3,000 cans or more in the street everywhere, just soda spraying everywhere. So I don't know.
Oh, I had a note about that fight.
I think I had to look away, so I don't really remember what happened in that fight. I think my cat was. I don't even remember what happened there.
I think like going back to why it's all running away is something that Speedman touched on. Is Jackie Chan's always just trying to get away. He doesn't want to fight. He's just trying to live his life. He's trying to get away. So that's why a lot of his fight scenes are chase scenes. It's because he's running, trying to not be in fights, and being pursued relentlessly.
Trying not to be involved in whatever's going on, and then he gets sucked into it.
He's always just like, I just have my groceries. Leave me alone. There's that one scene when he's walking down the street and they all see him and start chasing him. He's like, I don't even know her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, after him anyway.
Wait, I don't even know her. And then he just turns around and starts walking again. That's funny. Also, they didn't really, I mean, you can probably infer, but they never explained why the demons wanted the tape, right?
Well, it's because they were incriminated on it.
Oh.
They just wanted to destroy the evidence.
But they don't have any, like, Giancarlo's like a known businessman. These demons are just gang members. Like, why would they care? I just thought it was kind of weird.
I was thinking just because it's evidence that could actually put them behind bars.
Yeah.
And they did steal a bunch of cocaine. I guess that's true.
Also, kind of the revenge arc where they just wanted to get back at Giancarlo for killing the leader. You kind of forget that there was a guy besides Child Sunglasses Bucket Hat guy.
Child Sunglasses Bucket Hat.
Yeah. Giancarlo. The guy's stupid over face. Fuck. That was just ridiculous. I was happy when he died in the first, after his first like fucking 4 lines of dialogue. I was like, oh, this guy needs to go.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the demons didn't really say anything other than the dude just wanting to blow everything up with grenades. baby sunglasses. What do you call them? Child sunglasses, bucket hat guy. What was with the bikers? Like, why was there just a biker wedding?
Biker wedding?
It was so like unnecessary. It's just, and then they all attack. Like, one thing that I thought of, this henchman had the perfect opportunity to just fucking shoot Jackie Chan, but instead he shoots the big inflatable gorilla. He's like, "No, I'm gonna destroy this cake."
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, he shot the gorilla, and I'm like, dude, Jackie Chan was like 15 feet in the air. He could have just shot him in the air.
He was dangling from the bottom of the gorilla that he
exactly.
Just shot.
Yeah, and he had good grouping on the gorilla. He got like 3 shots in the same spot on the gorilla.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, did you notice that there were like 5 people getting married at once at the biker wedding? Like
so,
for no reason.
It was just to like appeal to Western culture.
Yeah,
maybe, probably.
Americans like motorbikes.
Speaking of Americans, how many Aussie cops were there that had American accents? It seems like most of them did.
Really? Like just the pleb, just the regular like extra cops?
Yeah, and the main Aussie cop, Romeo's boss.
Oh yeah.
I swear he had an American accent for like half of the movie, and then the rest of it he just turned on an Aussie accent. Maybe they couldn't get the same dubber.
Well, that's so weird because they're in Australia. You'd think that they would just have
Romeo
Australians.
had an American accent.
Yeah, Romeo definitely did. He must have been cast specifically for that role.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was one of the things I noticed fairly quickly was that a lot of the Aussie cops were Americans. Maybe because they were stuntmen.
Yeah.
Couldn't find enough Aussie stuntmen. Then just don't give them lines.
Yeah. Cops didn't really do anything though. Well, like what stunts did the actual like pleb cops do?
Yeah, not much. Just when they were chasing Jackie around.
Yeah.
And then
following him.
Yeah.
When Jackie blows up the house with a truck, and then the 2 cops are like, "What are we gonna do now?" And they were like, "Well, I didn't see anything except for the cocaine out of the blowing up house." And he's like, "Did you guys see anything?" And all the cops are like, "No."
How about you, boys? I'm surprised it didn't do like all of them jump at the same time freeze frame there, but they had to. They have to finish with Jackie Chan.
Yeah, right.
Always. That's a great finish. One of like a thing that I really appreciate about Jackie Chan movies when it comes to stunts is just the way he moves. It's not even a stunt in particular. It's just how he's moving in the fights. The way he, like, for instance, fitting through that gate.
Right.
Yeah.
That was
that
crazy.
gate was like 8 inches. He just squeezes himself through, and then the other guy's trying. He's like, "How'd he do that? I can't fit through here." I just like butchering accents.
I was gonna say I'm really liking your Australian accent right now.
It's just I really appreciate the way he moves. There's so many scenes where you see him just getting through an environment, getting in and out of the ice cream truck is like he's jumping around through the open doors and windows. And in the mall, there's one scene where he drops down to Mickey and he like puts his arms out to slow him on this round object and then drops to his feet like 10, 15 feet below him. And all he uses is friction to just briefly slow him down.
Yeah, because he jumped over a railing and there was like a weird fake rock landscape thing that he kind of just barely slid down and then just like fell. That was another moment to me where I was just like, whoa, how did he... Because the entire time through this movie, I'm going, he's actually doing this. These are actual stunts he's really doing and with pretty much no precaution. I mean... A little bit, but not really. He's just doing the stunts, and then so it's just he definitely has a fluidity to the way that he moves around that is just captivating and adds to that realism. Because if you were to look at that's probably why he's so particular. Every one of his takes, he's moving a little bit differently. His arm flailed in a different way when he wasn't paying. You know, like all the little different nuances to it that just make it be like, oh, he really did do that stunt. So
totally.
And
go ahead.
The patented wall climb in every Jackie movie, he's got one where he does the corner bounce up climb between them. The one in this movie was tall. It was like 15 feet or something, and the one wall was just like the tiniest little ledge that he had to kick off of.
Yeah. And another thing about using his environment, when they're searching for him and Diana at the start of the movie and he jumps up and braces his feet against the wall and pushes his back against the truck,
Yeah.
And he's
Oh, yeah.
supporting
Me-
her. Holy shit, dude! That takes some serious strength.
And the part that the comical part that led to that right after that, the guy comes around the truck, he just opens it and pushes him against the wall. Another point of like
Another
incapacitating without hurting him. Yeah, he's using the environment to stop him from attacking. He's like, I just want to leave. Let me leave. So
Yeah. There's one stunt that we haven't touched on yet that was actually one of the craziest in my mind. And it's when the guy in the construction site grabs like a 12-inch angle grinder and starts swinging it at him. And he like does the kip up with his feet and just gets his back out of the way as he comes ripping underneath him. Dude, he was moving fast. I watched it several times, and that guy was like full swinging that angle grinder. Fucking
So
Yeah,
crazy.
they probably did like 20 takes without it, just the movements to time it up, and then
With
hopefully it
not
was
running.
a dummy blade, but probably wasn't, knowing Jackie.
yeah, I mean, it did look like a regular grinder blade, and it was like that grinder was like this big.
Yeah, it was huge, man.
So, and then the subsequent after, so then it cuts away and it shows him swinging and the cable gets unplugged.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it, but does Jackie stop it with his hands after it gets unplugged, or was it just
No, he
stopped
just stopped
against
moving.
him? Yeah, and then it just
I
like
think
he
it
hits it against his
unplugged.
stomach.
And the guy just stops moving when it unplugs.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
okay.
stops himself. He doesn't follow through. Because if he did follow through, that grinder still would have fucked.
Right,
Jackie
that's
Chan.
why I was. Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, those
just to
angle
give
grinders.
The scene some like continuity. It gets unplugged, everything stops.
Totally. And that's kind of like that comic relief of the choreography is if you
Yeah.
look at almost all of Jackie Chan's choreography, there's always comic relief in the fighting. Like Speedman said, he gets hit in the hands and he holds his hands, or he gets hit in the shins, whatever. He's always like very real. He's showing that he's in pain, but it's always funny. It's funny for the viewer to see Jackie Chan like go, "Oh, my fingers," and then fucking hit someone over the head with a ladder, you know? It's like
Yeah. Well, because Lakeisha was fighting off I can't remember the reporter's name. What was her name?
Diana.
Diana. So when Lakeisha was trying to fight off Diana with the cricket bat, and then Jackie like stops her, and he's like, "Ow, my hand!" Like when they're in the apartment, and then he's just like, "Would you just get out? Give me my lamp back, or my urn back, my vase back."
Destroying my place.
He was holding that thing for so long.
He takes
That
it up
vase
to
he
the
was
roof.
It's like, why are you holding it for so long?
Yeah, I can fix it.
It's
Just go.
realistic. Like you start panicking and you just
You just have it, yeah.
hold what you're holding.
Yeah, it's so
Looked like a
funny.
nice vase though.
He actually drops it on the roof. He puts it on like, I don't know, an abutment on the roof. He just sets it down before they cross the I-beam.
Yeah, you can see it behind them in all the shots where they're getting ready to cross the I-beam.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know you could see it behind him. Little
Yeah.
things like that make it better.
Yeah.
That scene is pretty crazy too. He just kicks Lakeisha in the back. Imagine if he just kicked her off.
I thought about that. I was like, that's so dangerous for you to have done that.
Out of my way, lady.
He tells her to look forward and then tells her to close her eyes. But at first I was like, why would you tell her to look forward? But it's because where your head goes, your feet go. So
Yeah, that's why I told her
your
to close
head's-
her eyes.
yeah, if your head's down and you kick, you're more likely. If your head's straight forward and you walk, you're gonna walk relatively straight unless you're drunk. So I assume
Or
that's why,
on a
but-
but like I mean, you're like a 4-inch I-beam though. Man, that'd be terrifying.
yeah, I don't know why none of them just like didn't sit down and scooch across. I feel like
do the butt scoot.
I would have 100% scooted. I ain't no
Yeah.
Jackie Chan. I'm not carrying a woman across.
Also, why
I
couldn't
would-
Mickey just walk across? The other ones did it. They
was
were fine.
Paralyzed.
Yeah, she was too scared. It's Mickey, man. Come on, give her a
What
break.
happened to Lakeisha too? She got halfway and then couldn't do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she-
true. Yeah, he had to kick her.
She discovered she was
Diana
scared of
didn't
heights.
care. She was like, I got this.
No.
Yeah,
I already
Diana
have
was
rope-
the badass.
Oh, we didn't talk about her scene where they shove her out into the street half naked. That was weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
felt
the
like it was a
whole-
weird choice.
That was very weird. And then when she confronts them and opens it up,
Yeah,
opens
Yeah.
her trench coat up, the whole like audience starts cheering. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
sexual assault victim. Woo!
Right. I just thought that was such a weird. I mean, there's several other ways that she could have confronted them and made a scene and gotten away, but instead they chose to have her get undressed, and then they burst in and they're like, put on this jacket. I just thought it was a weird choice, but
I
it was
thought they
97,
did
so-
that I thought they did that for an actual like, almost like they were foreshadowing Tina Baby because she was only wearing a jacket and lingerie, or she was wearing a bathing suit, but that's all she was wearing when she was taken to the guest house.
True.
So I thought
in a little row.
they were kind of doing a little bit of foreshadowing, saying like, "Oh, we're gonna be bringing Diana to the fucking guest house because all she's wearing is undies and this jacket." You know, it was almost the same jacket.
That's a good point. I
didn't even
that
notice.
completely went over my head.
So
Yeah,
I don't know
me too.
that's where my thoughts were seeing that. It was a weird scene though.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think that's all I really had to say about the movie. Do you, Dread, Speedman, anybody got anything else?
Yeah, while we're on the subject of sexual assault, when he's holding her against the wall and his hands on her feet,
yeah.
did you
Yep.
see the graffiti on the wall behind her?
Yeah.
Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Yeah, as they
Nice.
leave, says keep in touch behind him.
And then
And
he's
then
like,
they
"Oh,
had-
sorry."
The 90s.
And then as soon as they moved and it showed keep in touch, it was like wow wow
Sexy music.
wow. Yeah. The music was very all over the place. I found in some scenes you had like this detective noir, like guitars, saxophones, kind of jazzy, like setting the mood, and then all of a sudden it's like this. The intro actually sounded kind of like Terminator. You could hear that kind of tingy fucking
Yeah.
skillet on a microphone. Ting, 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 ting. It was almost the same tone. I was like, wow, this is fucking Terminator music.
I was surprised how quickly the movie got going.
It's a Jackie
Like,
Chan
it was-
movie.
It was just like Jackie Chan as a chef, and then the Giancarlo and the thing. They run away, and then Jackie Chan's there, and I was like, that was like 4 minutes to the first fight scene.
That's
Technically,
because-
even less because there was a gunfight at the beginning. So
The movie
because-
itself is pretty quick, though. It's only like
Yeah.
hour and a half, hour 40.
Yeah.
Most of
no, it
those
was like an
old
hour and
action
20.
movies-
I think it was more like an hour
Yeah?
and 20. Yeah.
Yeah, most of those old action movies
What was the
are
runtime?
pretty short.
I think it was
So-
like 97 minutes.
Hour and 35.
Dude, that's a short movie.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
gotta
it
get
is.
to the point.
Yeah. All that film is expensive, man.
Well, I have 141, but I'm sure that's probably counting the credits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On the YouTube, it was just 136, but
Okay, interesting.
that
Nice.
probably wasn't credits. There's another scene that I liked in the car chase when Jackie gets in the car and then Diana's running after him and he just hits the brakes,
Yeah, and
She
she
just-
slams into
Oh,
it.
flies over
yeah.
into it.
But she somehow went in and then like folded and rolled, and then
She did a somersault and landed in the seat. It was pretty legit.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
That
yeah, it's pretty
actually
cool.
happened to you and you weren't preparing for it, just getting clotheslined by a car, you wouldn't be doing any running after that.
You would just fold right over the trunk.
Yeah.
And that's as far as you would go. Your knees would be
Skid
probably
across it.
ruined. She was full blown running, and then he
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hammers
Full
the
sprint.
brakes. Ridiculous. Overall, I think it's a great Jackie Chan movie. In my
It is.
personal opinion, it is up there with one of the best Jackie Chan movies. It has enough comedic relief. It's got some of the best fight choreography and fight sequences out of any Jackie Chan movie. And it's got, for me, all of the tropes that I associate with a Jackie Chan movie. I don't know why, but he always has like an uncle that's in another country. It's always an uncle. And I love that. And then yeah, it's great. For me, it's one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. It's up there.
You know, I had a ton of fun watching the movie, to be honest, and I'm surprised saying that now, thinking about the way I thought about it when I finished the movie last night. I was just, what is this movie? But having this conversation with you guys, I feel like has really brought out more enjoyment of the movie, of like I actually did enjoy more of it than I thought that I did. So
The more Jackie Chan movies you watch as well, the more like common elements you'll see between them all, and
Yep.
it makes each one better. Like because you'll, like Dredd was saying, there's the uncle, the diverse family,
It's always
Uh,
there.
yeah, the hurting himself, doing the wall climbs. Like there's a bunch of elements that are just signatures for all his movies, and every time you see one, you're like, ah, there it is,
Yeah.
and it just makes them all so enjoyable.
Just like the call outs to all the different stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, do we want to rank this one, boys?
How many inanimate objects is this one thrown at your face?
I don't even think we have to have a discussion. That was perfect.
Yeah, that was good. I like it.
Fuck. So like I don't even know if I'm rating this specifically off of. Oh no, what did I do here? I just accidentally made just Speedman on my screen. I don't know how to change it.
Just click him again. Just click him again.
Oh, thanks, man. I don't know how to Discord, I guess. I don't know if I'm rating this like out of just Jackie Chan movies, or I guess this is a just straight up action. This is the action-packed podcast, so I'm gonna rate this as an action movie. It's tough because there's so many subgenres, you know? Like this is like an action comedy, whereas Terminator was a sci-fi action, so you can't even put these in the same. They're not even in the same rating, you know? So I feel like this is martial arts action. That's where I'm gonna rate this one. Personally.
Really, I think this is a lot of nostalgia. This is more of a nostalgia podcast than anything. We're just narrowing it to action so that we have a direction to move in. So
totally. I'd say for me personally, this is 4 inanimate objects to the face out of 5. I really like the fight sequences are really what brought that number that high. If I even took the plot into consideration, it would probably be more like a 2. But knowing that I don't watch martial arts movies for the plots, I watch them for the fight sequences, the choreography, and basically that alone. Seeing Jackie Chan holding his knuckles in pain and doing crazy shit. This movie's top tier. This is one of the best Jackie Chan fight sequences movies out of all of his repertoire. So yeah, 4 inanimate objects in the face out of 5 for me.
Nice. Speedman?
I agree. I'd also give it a 4. I think I was almost a little too critical of Terminator, and the reason why I can be so much more forgiving with Mr. Nice Guy is that there were so few CGI effects, and that's really what dated Terminator for me. So those being absent from Mr. Nice Guy, like I could just focus on the fighting, and like Dredd said, that's all you're watching these for. The story is so minimal. It's there to get you from fight to fight. And the amount of like environment kills in this are so good.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many. I have probably 15 separate ones listed. And that's my favorite thing about Jackie is the way he uses his environment and the creativity in the fights.
Yeah,
and
man.
There's a bunch of different settings. It's not all warehouse fights. There's just a lot of variety, a lot of good stunts.
High speed chase scenes too.
Yeah, high speed chase scenes, vehicle stuff,
and a
trucks
fucking
driving through houses,
horse carriage chase scene.
Yeah. So it gets 4 out of 5. Throwing crates at Jackie's face that he punches and breaks, and then my hand.
Well, you know, when we started this, I probably would have been like a 3 to 3.5, but after the conversation and thinking more about it, I think that I'm going to have to go 4 inanimate objects at the face out of 5, because the dialogue and story scenes that are in between were, for me, thinking back on it now, so laughable that it just made it enjoyable, right? Like if they would have tried to go even more serious but had that story, and you didn't have, you know, baby glasses bucket head guy or whatever like being ridiculous and like wanting to throw grenades so bad or overacting like crazy, I feel like it would have just come off as dumb. But it was funny enough because it's an action comedy, so
it doesn't take itself too seriously.
And that's
like it's
and
not trying
I think
to win Academy Awards for acting.
And
it knows
Samo,
what it
I think,
is.
Samo did a great job with that, and then his little cameo was great, and all the, and then it's just wholesome. It's just a wholesome movie, and to be honest, it made me want to go watch more Jackie Chan, like classic Jackie Chan movies that aren't, you know, mainstream Hollywood ones that I've seen. So for that, I'm gonna have to give it 4 out of 5 for sure.
We're in consensus.
4s across the board.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Definitely not as good as Terminator, but like you said last week or last time, really high bar with Terminator 1. So
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have to be careful what we rank these movies against, because like I said, you can't put a sci-fi action against a Jackie Chan movie. They're just not even in the same category. One's taken seriously, one you just watch for the comedy and the fights. Like,
yeah, and I think that's where I'm going to try and approach this. Is I'm just ranking the movie on its own merits, what the movie made me feel as I watched it.
Definitely not against other movies. That's a good call. That's a great way of doing it.
Yeah, just
Before
so each
we
movie
end
has a fair shake. Go ahead.
I just want to know, Speedman, what are some of the other inanimate objects that you like to see Jackie fighting in the environment? I love the fire hose.
Oh,
the
that
fire
one was
hose
good.
one was so good. I don't think I even wrote that down.
The cool thing about the fire hose one is you see that brought up in another movie with Jet Li. Can't actually remember what movie it is, but he uses a fire hose that's not charged and swings it around and beats the shit out of people with it. And it's a really
he uses
great
it
sequence.
like the chain weapon.
Yeah. I don't know what that weapon's called. Pumpkin, you know what that weapon is when they have like a spear on the end of a chain? It's not a spear. It's like a point on the end of a chain, and they swing it around.
That's I was thinking Kill Bill, the schoolgirl from Kill Bill. Yeah, a flail? No, because there's no handle. It's just a chain.
Yeah,
right?
Kusarigama.
Oh, Kusarigama, right?
It's the sickle with the ball at the end of it.
No, it's like just a chain with a point on the end, and they like swing it around and they'll wrap it around their knee, and then they release it and they'll launch it like fucking 15 feet and then pull it back. It's a really cool weapon. Really amazing to see people use them. But that's what Jet Li does with a fire hose, and that's what that reminded me of when I saw him use the charged fire hose.
I thought that he was gonna do that, and then I must have just been remembering the Jet Li movie, unless Jackie does it as well in a different one. But then he just turns it on and lets the pressure just go nuts.
Yeah,
that was good. The first environment thing is jackets at the beginning that you already talked about, where he just ties guys up with the jackets, and then he uses the crate. There's a crate on the ground that he hooks with his foot and kicks at a guy. The truck cab that he pulls over, the garbage bin trap. So he runs across the garbage bin, and then another guy does, and he just lifts the top. So the guy falls in it.
Hooks it up to the hitch after. There's one baddie eliminated.
Yeah, gone.
Real quick, Dread.
Oh yeah, the trash can thing was funny.
Are you talking about the rope dart, like what Scorpion uses?
Pretty much.
Much.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a rope dart.
Oh, that's a way less cool name than Kogori Gama or something. That
well, hold on.
Rope dart is definitely what it is. That's I actually saw someone on Instagram posting videos recently with one.
Gotcha. Okay, so Speedman, the one that her name's Go-Go from Kill Bill, they call that a meteor hammer because it's a big ball.
Cool.
It's a big ball instead of a dart head.
Yeah.
So apparently, if you use the same thing but with a big ball, it's a meteor hammer.
Oh
Sounds like an RPG weapon.
I know.
From Super Mario RPG.
You just slam it down and causes a huge freaking earthquake.
Yeah.
Put the hammer down.
Another set thing is when they were in the cooking set, and he just grabs the archway and pulls it down on everyone and runs over. I like that one a lot because it's so simple. Just like grab something, throw it in front of the bad guys, run away.
Totally.
Sitting on the chair, and then he grabs the back of it and throws it over top of him. The horse cart door, when he gets thrown out of it and his hand is on it, and the guy's standing on his hand, he just opens it and the dude falls out. E-brake in the van, release the seat in the van. Oh, in the construction site, when he's laying on his back and there's a stack of pallets in front of him, he kicks the top one off and it flies into the dude's knees.
Yeah.
There's a couple little sequences there with the pallets where they like grab them and throw them and they're like trying to move them.
Yeah.
It's like this little chess match of move, kick. I love those. Those are my
he
favorite
grabs
little
one
sequences.
on his back so he can spin and gain momentum to throw it.
Yeah, that's funny. Like he fucking shot puts it from his back.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
What an athlete.
Yeah, I've talked about most of the rest of them. Cement mixer, zip tie. Yeah, there were many good environment kills.
Man, there's so many stunts that Jackie Chan has done in his career that come to mind, and I don't even remember where half of them are from, but there's one that is hands down my favorite Jackie Chan stunt out of any he's done, and it's from the movie Who Am I? I just have to bring it up because this is Jackie Chan. He takes a rope and he coils it around a bucket, and then he grabs the rope, moves the bucket, and he puts the rope around his waist, and the rope is tied off on the top of a building, and he jumps off of the roof sideways, and because the rope is coiled around his waist, it lowers him, and he spins.
Unspools him.
It unspools
Nice.
and he spins so fast, and then he lands on the ground. He's standing there and he's like, oh, he's all dizzy and shit, but he actually does it. It's one of the most insane stunts I've ever seen.
I wonder if he just has like a highlight reel of stunts in his mind. He's like, oh, this would be cool to do, and then figures out a way to put it in a movie. Oh, I want to wrap a rope around my stomach and fall off a building.
For sure does. He probably just like thinks of something, sees something in the environment. Like, remember when you used to skateboard, you'd like see a 3 set and you'd be like, oh, I want to fucking kickflip that. Yeah, that's probably what Jackie Chan does. But he's like, oh, I want to fucking kick someone's face into that railing. And you're like, what? And he's like, yeah, and then I'll spin over the railing and tie the dude with his jacket to it and then kick him in the ass.
Man.
Pretty much.
What a fun movie.
Yeah.
What fun movies they are.
I'm excited that you haven't watched that many and are going to. Like, there's so many good Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, I'll have to get some recommendations from you guys.
Yeah.
Good.
Obviously, I have Rumble in the Bronx already. Well, this sounds like maybe Police Story. Those movies, maybe, I guess.
Yep.
Sounds like.
Those are some of his first. If you're
Okay.
starting way back, I would suggest Drunken Master. I mean, that is a classic Jackie Chan movie. It is a great martial arts Jackie Chan movie because he's like learning from a master. It's that classic learning martial arts story arc.
I think
it's
I think I went to a movie theater. There's like a movie theater / bar one time that does like a free. They do like the one Wednesday a month is a free kung fu movie where you just go in and watch a kung movie for free. And I
Nice.
think Drunken Master was one of the movies because I was like, that's a really young Jackie Chan. I remember you just kind of rung a bell in my head. So I did see that one. I had a bunch of beer, so I don't really remember the movie, but it was enjoyable from what I remember. So
Yeah, that's one of his best. He does some crazy fucking stunts in that one too.
nice. Cool. Okay, well, what about final thoughts? Speedman, what are your final thoughts here as we head out?
I feel like I'll just be repeating myself if I give any other final thoughts.
There's not a lot to talk about, yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty critical of it at the beginning just because the acting is so cheese, but like Dredd said, it's all the fights, and the fights are superb. The environment kills are great. And Jackie's first English movie. He did good. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
they only dubbed the demons who probably already spoke English.
I don't. I want.
An Australian version.
Really
that no
wanna-
one can understand.
I wonder why they did that, man. Anyway, Dredd, do you have any
Yeah.
final things to say?
Nothing that I haven't already said either, man. It's top tier Jackie Chan movie for me. I don't want any plot. I don't need any talking. I need the fight sequences carried from one to the next with as minimal dialogue and poor acting as possible. Give me some good fighting. Give me some good comedic relief, and that's all I need from a Jackie Chan movie.
Well,
I'm happy with that. This one definitely did all
Perfect
of those
example
things.
of that. Yeah. All right. Well, my final thoughts are: thank you for joining us for the Action Packed podcast. This was Mr. Nice Guy. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Bye-bye.